Hi, it's Michael Brook from Rapid Couples Counselling. I just thought I'd record this little video on the different stages of relationships. Now, a lot of relationships go in reliable, repeatable stages. And this was more or less teased out by a woman by the name of Leslie Cameron Bandler, who wrote about what she called the threshold pattern in 1987. So relationships go according to different stages. The first stage is the attraction phase. Now, in the attraction phase, it's also referred to as the honeymoon phase. It's a falling in love with you bit. It's the part where you fall crazy stupid in love with your partner. You're having lots and lots of incredible great sex. You're meeting each other's needs. You're giving each other time. You have distance and time apart, and you're making sure each other feels desired and desirable all the time. And there's a whole heap of changes, both hormonally and neurologically, that get us addicted to our partners, more or less. The brain scans of cocaine addicts bear remarkable resemblance to the brain scans of people who are crazy in love. Now, the problem with the honeymoon phase is it doesn't last forever. It normally lasts only for about 12 to 18 months. After the attraction phase comes the appreciation phase. Now, in the appreciation phase, you learn to appreciate all the parts about your partner that nobody else knows. You learn to appreciate how great they might be at cooking. You learn to appreciate how nice it is to cuddle with them on a cold winter's morning. And you learn to appreciate all the finer aspects of that partner that nobody who wasn't close to them wouldn't know. But once again, normally this only lasts about 12 to 18 months. Now, after the appreciation phase, normally around the 2 to 3 year mark, that's when people decide to get together for the long term on the erroneous expectation that everything that happened up until now is going to happen afterwards forever. But the problem is that doesn't happen. And the problem is that life has a habit of getting in the way. Now, normally around the 2 to 3 year mark, that's when the habituation phase kicks in. Now, in the habituation phase, you get in a habit of relating. So every Friday night, you might go to get fish and chips, or go out to a restaurant, or go out to a pub, or go out to a bar or something. Every Saturday morning, you might go out to the market to do some shopping, and every Sunday morning, you might have sleep Sunday morning sex and do your chores afterwards. And so that tends to be what happens. You get in a habit of relating. It's the same old, same old. Everything's all relatively, normal. But the problem is that life tends to happen the way. Normally around this period of time, people are getting married or getting engaged, and normally around this period of time, also kids show up. So, and then they don't leave for 20 years. And so after the habituation phase comes the expectation phase. Now, all the time and effort and attention you were putting into the relationship at the beginning, you stop doing, right? Because, your partner stops doing, because, life gets in the way. Kids get in the way. The amount of time and attention, effort you're going into the relationship at the beginning is now going into the child, or now going into work. Yeah. And so in the expectation phase, resentment starts to build up. And the problem with resentment is like coral, it's accretive, it builds on top of itself. And so at the beginning of the relationship, your needs are being met. And after a period of time, those needs aren't being met. And often people have difficulty resolving that, and they don't know how to get back to the attraction phase at the beginning. And so if the change isn't made in the relationship that they want, and often people will go, hey, hang on, things aren't as good as what they were at the beginning. Can we make some changes? Now, after the expectation phase, if change hasn't happened, then what tends to happen is people get into disillusionment. And the disillusionment phase, what tends to happen is one or both people is going, is this my life? Is this what I've signed up for? Because what you thought you were signing up for at the beginning isn't what you're getting now. And so at the beginning, you were getting your partner's time and attention. You're having great sex that was intimate, hot, and erotic. Your partner was making you feel desired and desirable. You had distance and time apart, and you're getting your emotional needs met as well. But then 5 or 6 years down the track, and you're going, hang on, I'm not getting any of that. Nothing of that is working. And you asking, is this my life? Right? Is everything going to be the same way? Now, normally in that point, one or both people, but frequently it's one, will agitate for positive change. And if that isn't needs or that change isn't carried out, or is only carried out in short amounts, what tends to happen is the relationship will flip into threshold. Now, in the threshold or perceptual orientation phase, you begin seeing your partner's faults. Instead of seeing the good things at the beginning, you begin to see all of their partner's faults. And what tends to happen in the threshold phase, you've got repetitive arguments that go nowhere. You argue about stuff that you wouldn't even thought about at the beginning of the relationship. Often there's people in the threshold phase say that they feel like they're flatmates. They feel like they're just, people who are cohabiting. The romance or the spark is gone. Often in the threshold phase, you'll have one person say, I love you, but I'm not in love with you. And one or both people in the threshold phase is asking themselves the question, should I stay or should I go? Now, there are 6 steps between attraction to threshold, and if you allow between 12 to 18 months per step, most couples will hit the threshold phase between the 6 to 9 year mark. Now, these timeframes are a little bit flexible, but as a couples counsellor, I can tell you a significant proportion of my clientele are coming to see me somewhere between the 6 to 9 year mark or 6 to 10 year mark. And this process is actually borne out in the data on divorce, in the most common time of duration of your relationship that people have before getting divorced is 10 years. So people go through attraction to the threshold. The person says, should I stay or should I go? They make the equation to go. Then they terminate the relationship. So if you're listening to this recording and you're asking yourself, should I stay or should I go? It's important for you to understand that well negotiated, being in a threshold or being in disillusionment is a midpoint in a relationship, not the end. And most of my clients feel like it's the end, but it's not. It doesn't have to be. Well negotiated, you can find your way back to attraction. You can find your way back to making sure you give each other your time and attention. Your emotional needs are met. Your sexual relationship can be revitalized. You can find your way back to those things. It's absolutely possible because I've done it hundreds of times. But it's really important to recognize that if you are at the threshold phase or a disillusionment, something's got to happen or things are going to go south really badly. So I just thought I'd let you record this recording about that video. If any of this fits with your experience and you are in a disillusionment or threshold, or even if you're at expectation and things aren't going the way you want them to do, it's really important to make the changes early on so that you kind of nip the process in the bud. All right? So if that's the case, please give me a call on 0432 681 321 if you're in Australia. If you're having a look at this video from overseas, you can go to my website rapidcouplescounselling.com.au and you can put your information in a contact form and I'll get in touch with you as quickly as I can. Thanks very much for taking the time to listen to this, and I hope this has helped you with your relationship. Thanks very much. Bye.